Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, who is Arkansas? And how soon could it be revealed whether or not Chance McMillian is a go or a no? We're into it next on Locked On Texas Tech.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Thanks as always for making us your first listen. Chris, great to be back with you and nearing tip-off from San Francisco Thursday night. We're coming to tear it up. It's Texas Tech and Arkansas for the right to go to the Elite Eight. On yesterday's program, it was just a peek, semi-look at the Razorbacks. But I believe today we could get into some full-fledged, in all their swine glory, view of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Deep, pondering questions like, how did John Daly come to be their most respectable living alum? Things like that. So I'm excited for the conversation as we get to know the Hogs a little bit better today. I do also want to get to some keys, and obviously we'll continue the conversation on that front into our game day episode. But kind of a headline, I guess, of sorts as far as a big thing that you kick my way that Texas Tech is really going to have to get going in order to find a way to be successful in this matchup. And, of course, if you will indulge me, and maybe the audience as well, Chris, I'd like to bother you with a question about our guy, Chance McMillian, again. I know I've been checking in with you every 15 minutes. You have asked me to stop. I think I was even blocked at one point in time, though we've opened those communication lines back open in order to record this show. Surprise, I'm going to ask you while I got you here. So hang tight for that in just a moment. But how about that full look at the Razorbacks? It was just a taste yesterday, but as you were diving further into previewing these Hogs, what are you finding?
Well, you find because it's been well documented. This has been of a weird season for Arkansas. Starting out 0-5 in the league and in the SEC, and then I think that they had dealt with some injuries along the way. Adu Thero and Boogie Fland, kind of two of their top scorers, have missed a significant amount of time, and Thero may in fact be back Thursday night. I think Fland he's thought to be a potential lottery pick, and he just returned. And they had, without Thero, they're 6-2, and he is kind of a power forward, plays great away from the ball and does a lot of things. And he was kind of a leading scorer, he was. And Fland maybe the best pro prospect on their team. So they've done a lot of what they've done here without a lot of those two leading scorers at different points. And I think what's fascinating is as they incorporate them back into the equation, how does it affect the rotation? Does it? Who had an increased role now? Who must kind of step back? That's probably John Calipari's main problem. Not that it's a problem. I'm sure he'd rather it be a problem than getting to deal with that. But they are like natural talent.
That can be tough, right? Like a reinsertion,
sure,
and of some ultra talented guys to boot when you've got a rhythm kind of with this group.
Yeah, I don't disagree, because somebody's minutes suffer, and I think it's you try to explain to them and from a mindset standpoint, hey man, this is a good thing. You're not going to play as many minutes. It's a good thing. But so I think that's the potentially Arkansas's challenge, but they've going to more than likely have a few more pieces available at full strength. And who starts, who plays, who's in the rotation, who gets squeezed, it remains to be seen. But the natural talent, this is going to be one of the most talented teams you play all year. They're just young, and it's a bit unrealized in some ways. But this is also going to be one of the biggest teams you play. So this is similar to the way Houston is built, or the way Arizona is built, or the way Kansas is built. Just you're dealing with big and tall. across the board. I mean, they've got a guard that's 6'2", but then everybody else is Fland is not as big, but everybody else is. You've got a couple of 7-footers, you've got some 6'9s, you've got 6'6" on the wing. I mean, you've got this. They're going to look the part, I guess, is what I'm saying. And so who they are, though, is that I think they need you to screw it up on offense, and they need you to turn it over to create transition opportunities. They are talented enough to clean up a lot of messes with some defensive mistakes around the rim. They block close to six shots a game. I think they had 7 blocks versus St. John's. So they could screw it up out near the perimeter and then clean it up near the rim. And so I see Elijah Hawkins getting to the bucket and kind of doing his thing? Probably not in this game. That'll be a bit trickier for people getting to the rim. It'll be trickier for JT Toppin operating around the paint. But
can I ask you something about that?
Sure.
Because we brought that up, I think, either in yesterday's conversation or maybe 2 episodes ago, and talking about the differences in round 1 and round 2 and kind of what was there given the matchup for Tech. And I talked about some perceived swing maybe back to the perimeter just because of what I had seen from Arkansas size-wise. And if I remember right, you were sort of quick to push back on that maybe as far as some opportunities at the rim. So why is it with those measurables that we know are there, why do you still maybe think there's some opportunity there? Is it just how good they are, or is there some other aspect of the matchup?
I think, like, in other words, I think that the way you played your games in Wichita were like opposite ends of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
It was heavily perimeter and heavily paint. I think this will be a mixture. I don't foresee it being. I think it's somewhere in the meaty middle there.
Okay.
Because I think that there's probably an arrogance that comes with Arkansas and Calipari, and I think JT will have one-on-one opportunities in the paint. I think you'll be able to, he'll be able to go one-on-one, and we'll see, what he can do with that. I just don't envision them like committing to double and triple teams. So that may somewhat limit your ability to play inside out if they're not going to leave shooters and they're going to, may just be JT. Let's see what you can do. Potential first round pick and have at it. But I do think you'll get some looks from deep, and it's just a matter of what you do with them. But like, you just played 2 games in Wichita and you had 34 assists to 12 turnovers. I do think Arkansas struggles to score. I do think they need to get out and run. They want to do this. Yeah. I think if you lined, these 15 to 16 players that would potentially play in this game up, and you're out there and like, hey, let's pick teams, guys. I could see a lot of Arkansas's guys being picked before yours. You know what I'm saying? Based on upside and talent and measurables and all these things. But I think you're connected. You're well coached and all those things. Not that Arkansas is not, but I think that youth shows up with Arkansas at times. So you're going to see their upside at times where they look like this scary, scary team. And then they're going to have these moments where they go through these droughts. They really struggle to shoot it from the perimeter. I'm not so sure that Texas Tech won't try to kind of go under screens and do some things to dare them to shoot it from the perimeter and say, if you want to beat us in a 3-point shooting contest, we're going to dare you to. Like, we're going to try to, play off a bit and kind of play drop coverage and do some of those things just because. So here's what's fascinating about if you look at what happened in the St. John's Arkansas game.
First, today's episode brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades with Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. And their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from more than 400 top brands, you're going to find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn to take your business to the next level. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM. That's supplyhouse.com/TM, and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with only a few clicks. Plus, use our promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's SH5 at supplyhouse.com.
If you look at what happened in the St. John's Arkansas game, it is wild. This just shows you how bad St. John's is on offense. And yes, I'm sure Arkansas had something to do with that. However, I mean, St. John's turned it over fewer times. They made more free throws. Each team made as many 3-point shots. So there's nothing. And the rebounding battle was 6 rebound advantage for St. John's. But it's the 28 offensive rebounds that St. John's secured. 28. I mean, typically teams average on a any given night somewhere between 8 to 14 would be a good number. But it just St. John's they can't shoot. They couldn't. They shot 28% from the game, I think, and. If you give Texas Tech 14 offensive rebounds and those opportunities, I'd just be willing to bet you that you're going to pay for it a little bit, way more than what St. John's was doing. So there's an opportunity to rebound. I think it'll just be interesting. And there's a guard for Arkansas named DJ Wagner that I don't think is necessarily – and we'll see how Boogie Flan changes this, if anything. But DJ Wagner is a guard for Arkansas – that I think they have him playing point guard, and I don't think he's necessarily a natural point guard. And I think when you're on the defensive end, you really want to make him have to make some decisions, make him have to read some things, make an extra pass, like kind of try to figure out what's going on. And so those are some kind of games within the game that I think you'll be looking at. But, man, if you play good offense and don't turn it over like you've been doing, and then shot fake when you get into the lane, because they're going to try to block everything. You play off of 2 feet. You can get to the
Triple
line.
threat, baby.
Yeah, that's right. You can get to the line, get them up in the air, because if you go in there off of 1 foot, or if you're like, I got an easy layup here, they're going to swat it and pin it up against the backboard, or they're going to get some oohs and ahs from the crowd on some of the block shots that you serve up if you're not careful. So,
well, and there'll be a few of those. They'll get theirs. I mean, it's going to happen.
You're right.
Yep, sure. You're right. But, man, those types of guys, I mean, anybody that's watched any level of basketball for whatever period of time, I think has an understanding. You got to go right at the chest, right at the chin, right at whatever. I think you got to continue to attack is the only way to go at those who have that kind of presence. And I'll tell you, for the most part, for my money's worth this year, there have been some games where I've thought JT Toppin has done an excellent job at sticking with it, after he's had one put in the first row or something like that. I can't remember really even what game it was that stood out to me, but there was some of that tenacity after some plays were made defensively against him that he just kept going back to it, and he was getting his eventually also. So I would be pretty optimistic about maybe kind of your personality when you're facing that. But I do wonder about some of those opportunities on the outside, and just the plain and simple fact that you hadn't shot it well through the first couple of games. Whenever it comes to the 3-point shooting, you had to put up a prolific attempts number in order to knock down enough to survive round 1 against UNCW, but you did. But I'm just wondering if there's any path to trying to figure that out. You're in a new gym now. You got some new rims. A scientific question I'd like to add to the conversation today: are our balls overinflated? Excuse me. Are our basketballs overinflated? This is a thing on the internet, Chris. I didn't know, but there's some shooting struggles seemingly across the tournament here or there. Some taking issue with maybe another potential deflate gate in the other way. We're pumping them up too much, or we're just, I don't know, not connecting. But can we find a way to knock down something from outside this time around? I'm not so sure. It just kind of seems like sometimes when that dam breaks, then it kind of begins to really pile up. So hopefully it goes that way, I guess, beginning on Thursday. Back to the Bulls, though.
Yeah,
Hey, have you ever heard anything about that? I mean, have you seen it out there? Any comments?
I've seen it. I just haven't paid it much attention.
You don't hear about it, or whatever.
Yeah, shooting this time of year in neutral sites, and there's different sight lines you're dealing with. I mean, where you're about to go. I mean, Steph Curry seems to shoot it pretty well in there. And maybe he's using a different basketball. Okay, so yeah, I'll I don't buy into that at all. But you will you'll get 20 to 25 opportunities from behind the arc in this game, in my opinion. I don't think it'll be like only a 14 attempt night. I also don't think it'll be in the 46 attempt night either. But I think you'll get your semi normal, and it's up to you. Do you make is it 13 to 25? Is it 6 of 25? What's that look like? And that could kind of tell the story a bit. And Arkansas makes about a little over 6 a game. You're making, over 10 a game on average. But, sometimes teams, they do different things compared to their average. And I just, part of me says we've seen too much this season from individually as a team for you to continue shooting it 25% as a team from behind the arc. I don't know if I buy that going forward, but maybe that's just the way this is going to go. I don't know. And if it is, then you're probably not going to make it out of San Francisco still alive in this tournament. But I'd be willing to bet you that you find a happy medium there, and it may not be like overcorrection of just like you're making everything, but I'd be willing to bet you it regresses to the mean, which would be a good thing for you, since Wichita was not exactly kind to you from behind the arc. But again, some of this is nerves. You can get into how much air is in the ball. Some of this is nerves. Some of this is sideline. Some of this is like the other team too, right? And
they'll get the try.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I just think that Christian Anderson, Elijah Hawkins, some of those guys, I think will get some looks. Kerwin Walton is clearly on the scouting report. He may have a tougher time getting some of those looks, but you'll feel it out and see kind of what happens with how they want to defend you. And you'll throw it to JT or D5 early in the game, and you'll kind of see, okay, dribble, what's happening, and now it's game on. And does Arkansas stick with the man-to-man and they stick with just a solo coverage, if you will, or do they try to double, or what kind of adjustments do they make? But I'd be willing to bet you that JT and D5 in that sense will get one-on-one opportunities more often than not, if I was guessing.
I like our roll of the dice in that situation. I'm just going to go out there and say it. I like those guys in one-on-one spots. So, looking forward to those opportunities. And I suppose if it doesn't become friendlier from the three-point line, that's fine, but we just need to make those 50 paint points and 75-ish, 80, 85. How many can we pile up, boys? We need them all.
And this will be, I'd be willing to bet you get some serious opportunities at the free throw line if you play it well. With some,
you think so? You get the calls, or
well, just if you play it correctly, because I think that there's some fouls to be had if you're smart, and it doesn't mean that you're going to be gifted anything, but you got to go earn them. But in these tournaments, it's funny.
First, today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it can be easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. You're going to love the all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money today. Use our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com and our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for half off your first year.
In these tournaments, it's funny because I think that now that you when it's a one-day prep and you're trying to get to the Drake game, now everybody gets a reset. You get back home, you get back in your gym, and you've got a lot more time to draw up things and to work on things and to really heavily scout an opponent. And so, and vice versa with Arkansas looking at you. So we'll kind of see what has changed with schematically or health wise, which we'll get into in a little bit, and all those things. But you get a bit of a reset button. There are far fewer upsets going forward compared to what there is in the first weekends because of you get to call timeout, go back home, and then team and talent usually take over. And again, you're very talented too. I'm just telling you, like, Arkansas is, they've got, I mean, they paid $8 to $10 million for this thing is the word. I mean, I talked to somebody who coached against them this year. I talked to somebody that coached against Calipari last year and is familiar with how they want to do things at Kentucky and all those things. And it's really the same semi blueprint. And he's going to play some youth. There's a lot of sophomores and freshmen for that'll be on the floor for these Razorbacks. And at times you're going to see their talent, and you, as you said, they're going to get theirs. But then at times there's going to be some bad turnovers or some ill-advised shots. And what exactly do you get? We're about to find out.
So when you think about that matchup, and of course we'll dive headfirst even more so on the game day edition as we get ready for tip-off. But to wrap up our conversation today, a headline or the biggest thing, what's standing out to you?
As far as
Texas versus Arkansas.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I go back to if you're talking about, like, say, I always hate these phrases, but like a key to victory or some non-negotiables. How about that? I do think if you will take care of the basketball and really limit turnovers, I really like your chances. And then secondary 1A is just the battle on the glass. I think if you are to win, if you play a low turnover game and then you can hang on the glass, I don't think you have to win it, but if you can, hang there, and you have, and that's the thing about, like, we're talking about how big and they have like height rank, okay, in the country, and you're like in the 280s or something. Arkansas is probably like in the top 10 or 15. Okay. But you've been undersized all season long. JT has played against bigger guys all season long. Everybody from Iowa State to Arizona to Kansas to Houston, they've all got him in wingspan or height or bulk or whatever. And so he's used to this and he's excelled, and he was the Big 12 Player of the Year for a reason. So I just think that you'll be able to hang on the glass, but it's a low turnover game, I think, is what wins it, because they need you to turn it over in order to score, in my opinion. Unless they just have some crazy anomaly from behind the arc and they shoot it really well. And sometimes that happens this time of year. Sometimes a team just gets really hot and they just bury you, and you're like, damn, it doesn't matter what we do. They're on one tonight. But the biggest thing to me team-wise is, and that's why I trust Elijah Hawkins, man. 17 assists to 2 turnovers in those 2 games in Wichita combined. That dog is hunting, man.
Yes,
and it's hunting well. I mean, so that's if you want to see kind of where you're at, that, because I just think a bad shot, a block shot, trying to skip past it against that athleticism and length, and it leads to a run out, it's not going to end well for you at all.
Agreed. Man, I know the tone is kind of set by Hawkins as far as the turnover column is concerned, but that's, I think, been a part of sort of the culture. Even going back to last season, they've been pretty tidy in that column. So that makes you feel good about the opportunity on Thursday. All right, man, looking forward to that. And of course, before we get out of here, Chris, I had to, on behalf of the people, it's not like I'm wandering around the clock or anything. Myself, actually, also am. Chance McMillian, a little hope, a little light shown on this situation to begin our week. On the previous episode, if you missed it, Chris got into some thoughts as far as the next few days and the progress. So I guess I'll just continue to check back in with you until I've run out of time to do so and we actually see things tipped off. But are we keeping hope alive today? Is the hope growing as we see another 24 hours come to pass?
I do think you'll get the answer to this question later today.
Really?
So, yeah.
So it's not a when they trot out there or jog out there situation.
I don't believe so, and here's why.
Okay.
I just that they will have an open shoot around today. I guess they could choose to keep things quiet, and then they have a practice in the Chase Center afterwards and everything. I don't know why you would. I don't get the sense that Grant is in the gamesmanship and all that. It's like, hey man, we're not really trying to hide anything. If he can go, we want to have him get up as much shots as possible in this building because we've got limited time and whatnot. But if he hasn't like practiced going into this San Francisco trip, or if he's not really, if we're not viewing him doing much at all in this Wednesday afternoon scenario in the Chase Center, then I would say it probably doesn't bode well for you, because I don't think this is an injury that. And again, we're going off of what he told, because they talked about this on College Game Day on ESPN, that I guess he had told an ESPN reporter. It was either ESPN or CBS, but I think it was because it was ESPN because it was their pregame show. It's a pain tolerance issue. It's an ab injury, and because for those that don't know, there's open locker room setups in the NCAA tournament. It's just part of their policy. And so they have these press conferences, but then reporters are allowed to go into the locker room after it was over and kind of visit with each player. And that's how part of these stories are told. Just all the fun stories that come with the tournament. But Chance McMillian is required to sit there, I guess, and he kind of was like, yeah, that's what I'm dealing with. And this is it's not just a wake up one day and it's like, I'm good to go. This is a gradual, I think from you talk to people that have dealt with ab injuries before, it's a movement or restrictive movement type of injury. I think that sometimes you deal with taking in deep breaths and just your core. And so we'll know. I don't think there'll be any kind of trot out there and he's good to go. That would shock me. I think you'll kind of have a feel for that one way or the other. And I think they'll probably have a really good feel for if he's going to play or not before you even get to San Francisco, would be my guess. But, yeah. And it sucks, man, because he's from I think 45 minutes away from San Francisco if he can't play. And if he can, and I think there's some hope, but that doesn't guarantee anything. Hope is not a strategy. I know I'd say keep hope alive, but hope is not a strategy either. But I think if he could, at minimum, be in uniform and give you, say, 5 to 7 minutes, I just wonder what that would do to lift everybody's spirits. But you can't put the kid in harm's way. And if he can't move, this isn't, and then you wonder where's his conditioning, with all this. Is he been able to kind of stay in shape at the level that you need to on this kind of stage? Yeah. Because this kind of stage will get you from got to take some deep breaths, the adrenaline, they turn the lights down, they play this fancy music, and it's just NCAA tournament, man. And they got that big old giant March Madness on the middle of the floor. So even if you're in shape, it can gas you pretty good just because there's a lot going on. So hopefully you got some of that out of your system for some of the guys that are guaranteed to for sure play. So we'll see, man. As soon as we kind of see something or have a better feel for it, we will certainly pass it along. I remain hopeful, but again, you're not guaranteed anything here. And I think you'll more than likely kind of have a good feel for that later today, heading into tomorrow night. So we shall see.
All right. That also explains all the old boys you see coming back from the nacho stand having to pause at the handrail and catch their breath. Just the environment can be overwhelming for everybody. You got to take a beat if you need to.
That's a bit different. That's
right. It's a combination of things, I think, Chris. But the environment definitely a part of it.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, one more sleep. If you are planning on sleeping, I don't know, maybe we sleep in May. Whatever you're going to do to pass the time, we're getting closer. And then it's Texas Tech and Arkansas in the Sweet 16. So got one more go round before we get to tip off, and looking forward to that. Chris will join us from San Francisco to set the table. So looking forward to it. Safe travels, Chris, and we'll see you for the next one.
Hey, man, guns up. We'll talk to everybody out on the left coast, and we'll see what is on the horizon. I know that the Golden Gate Bridge is on the horizon for me, so I'm going to walk outside here in a little bit and see it shortly. So there you go. But yeah, it's winding down here, man. But it is only 16 of them left, and you're one of them. So enjoy it.
That's right. For Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Thanks for being out there. Appreciate the time. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. And we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.